What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a great wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position and test your skills overall. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like a daily training schedule to follow with gym workouts and on-field workouts that you guys can do, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. It's over 500 plus wide receiver drills and gym exercises, all broken down with sets, reps, and video examples of each drill. So check out that very first link below if you're interested in that, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, first route we're going to be talking about here, or first situation, I guess I should say, and if you're not familiar with our quiz style videos, how they run is I show you guys a pre-snap look or a play. I ask you a series of questions about the play or the pre-snap look. I give you a chance to answer it and pause the video, and then I'll break down why the answer is correct or incorrect, okay? So, first situation, how would you guys run a 10 to 12 yard dig route versus this specific coverage? Okay, so this is the pre-snap look, and this is going to be a two-part question. There's a second question at the end of this. So how would you guys run a dig route versus this look? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So when we have a DB, obviously the three things that we need to identify coming up to the line every single time when I'm structuring my plan of action on a route is going to be his leverage, how close or how far he is, and what type of coverage it is. So obviously his leverage is going to be inside, right? So he's inside shade. He's lined up to the inside of me. That means that he has inside leverage. His goal with inside leverage is to protect the inside, force everything to the outside, which is the sideline, essentially his help, right? So that's what we identify number one. And this process has to happen fast, fellas. We cannot take forever with this process, but doing it a bunch of times over and over again is how you get much quicker on this. Number two, how close or how far he is. He's about 8 yards away from me, so that tells me that it's off coverage. It could be zone now, it could be man, and it is man because he's squared up and his eyes are on me. So inside shade, off man, I have to run a dig. The mistake a lot of guys will make, and if this is what you said, this would be wrong. If you said that, oh, you want to square up the DB, attack his toes, fake to the outside, then cut in front of him, that would be wrong. Because anytime that you attack a DB's leverage, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to keep his leverage. They call it weaving. So if you angle your stem at him, he's going to weave to the inside, you're going to break, and you're running right into him. What you want to do is you want to attack the outside shoulder and outside hip, where you're trying to flip his hips to a fade so you could slip underneath and have space to run this route. We never want to curve my stem way to the inside, break, and then end up catching a dig on like the opposite hash. That's not realistic to a real game. So let's play this full speed. So he comes off the ball, does a great job attacking that outside shoulder, gets the DB to flip, and wins on this route, but ultimately ends up dropping the ball. So this is the second part of the question. So if you guys said attack the outside shoulder, that would be correct. Could he be a little bit closer to this DB? Absolutely. But let's talk about the second part of the question. Why do you guys think that he dropped the pass on this? What do you think caused him to drop the ball? I'm going to play it one more time. So you guys, after you see this, you could go ahead and pause the video. Think about why this wide receiver dropped this pass right here. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So first things first, when it comes to catching, you got to make sure that we do what? We look the ball all the way in. And I know I said this was a football IQ quiz, and it is, but we're changing up the pace a little bit here. And I think this is a good thing for everybody to learn. When that ball hits a wide receiver's hands or it hits your hands as a wide receiver, your number one priority when you secure it is to put the ball away violently so the DB doesn't have a chance to play your hands. So you see when this ball hits his hands here, and so many wide receivers do this, they catch the ball and they hold it out in front of them for like a second or two. I don't even know why they do it, but you see it happen all the time. And DBs are taught to play your hands. They see your hands go up, they're taught to shoot their hands through the middle of your two hands to hit the ball. So we hold the ball and extend it out from me. That's an easy PBU for that DB. So if you said the reason why he dropped it is because he held it out too far and he didn't tuck it away violently, that would be correct because he did everything right. He had the, the quote unquote diamond grip with the hands. He caught it in his fingers. He looked the ball all the way in, did everything correct, but still ended up dropping it because we didn't violently rip it to the tuck. We want to give the DB zero time to be able to play my hands and knock this thing out. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. This is a great route here from Pickens. Great job getting the DB to flip his hips, but we have to finish with that catch. Okay, so now next scenario here, I'm going to play this clip full speed, and then I'm going to ask you, what do you think the wide receiver did wrong here? Okay, so he's going to be running a slant route, and I'm going to play this thing full speed, then we'll break it down. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. So question is, what do you think this wide receiver did wrong here that got him locked up? I'm going to play it one more time so you guys see it. He comes off the ball. What do you guys think he did incorrectly here? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. Okay, let's break this thing down. So obviously pre-snap, what's the situation here? We have like kind of inside shade, maybe head up press, and we have to run a slant, right? So he's pretty close. So again, we identify his leverage, how close or how far, what type of coverage. Right off the bat, inside shade or head up. It's tough to tell from this angle. I'm going to call it inside shade. He's in man coverage, eyes are on me, and he's like less than a yard away. So press coverage, inside shade. I got to run a slant. Something that you do on a slant route, especially a 3-step slant route, is called a diamond release. So a diamond release is where you take 3 hard steps to the DB's outside shoulder and outside hip, trying to get him to flip those hips to the fade, and we slip back underneath. Now, a lot of you, if you've been watching this page, you're familiar with that. You know what I'm talking about, right? But I just want to explain it so everybody's on the same page. Now, what sells fade on every route, even if this DB's in zone and you have to run a comeback, a curl, 3 things sell fade: your speed, your body language, and last but not least, your stride length. All of those things will make a DB think fade, and he eventually has to commit. So on this example, this wide receiver comes off the ball, but watch his steps. He's starting on the numbers. He barely gets past the numbers when he makes 3 steps to his outside shoulder. And yeah, the DB might have opened up the gate a little bit, but he's not threatened by the speed or the stride of the wide receiver, and that's why he's able to put the brakes on, open up, and make a play, because we did not take full strides. Fellas, DBs are looking for 2 things in man coverage. They're watching my hips and my body language, and they're trying to read my speed. And if I'm taking choppy steps to the outside, I could have the quickest feet in the world, but if I'm not actually running, that DB is not actually going to commit. So if that's what you guys said, that would be 100% correct. He committed his shoulders. He tried to do the throw by. He had the right release. But again, fellas, a lot of the times playing the wide receiver position is not so much about the IQ, and it's not just about the technique either. It's about a combination of both. You have to have the right football IQ to know how to run your routes, but you also have to have the correct technique in order to run the route correctly and efficiently. If you can do both of those things, that's how you become a great route runner. Okay, so next example here. It's going to be another pre-snap look, and I want to ask you guys, how would you run a comeback route versus this specific coverage? Okay, so a comeback route versus this specific pre-snap look. So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. Pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. And this is going to be like a 15-yard comeback route as well. So again, pre-snap process. I see that the DB is what? He's inside leverage. How close or how far is he? He's about 7 to 8 yards off, and he's in man coverage. So inside shade, off man coverage, I have to run this comeback route. Now, if I had to do this route, and it was like an out route, like a 10-yard out, what I would tell you guys to do is to stem him to the inside, make a fake to the inside, and then break to the out. Now, it's a comeback route. It's a little bit different. You can't attack his leverage and then break back on a 45. That would be a very weird angle. That would throw off the quarterback's timing, and it would probably honestly give the DB time to recover if we did that. Because on a comeback route, we actually have to break down or snap down at the break. On an out route, we can make a single cut or a rocker step and just go 90. This one, we have to break down and go 45. We cannot drift on this. So if you guys said attack is leverage, then break down, that would be wrong. Now, if you guys said attack is outside shoulder and outside hip, then snap down, that would also be wrong. Because if you just go right at his outside hip and outside shoulder, that's exactly where this DB wants you to go. Because remember, his goal is to protect the inside and force everything outside. So if you just run outside, he's going to get hands right on your hip and your shoulder and be right on your hip as you break. So what you would want to do is you would want to stem him first, widen him, then push to the outside shoulder. So we still can have room, but I still can make that smooth breakdown and get out. So let's play at full speed. So he comes off here, stems, gives a little vertical set, sounds like he's running a fade, and is able to come back down. Now, ball was thrown a little high. Still, I think we should finish. If the ball hits my hands, it should be a catch. But again, he stems to the inside to widen the DB. He gives this move called a vertical set to push fade, to sell like he's running a fade, and then snaps this thing right off to win. Now, another reason why you'd want to run the route like this is how you would run a fade versus this type of coverage. Because remember, great wide receivers all pair their routes together. They know how to make certain routes look like they make 2 routes look the exact same. And that's what we have to do. So if you're running a fade route, you would attack his leverage, give him a hard fake inside, then go vertical. You're running a comeback route, you would attack his leverage, hard fake inside, sell like it's a fade, then snap this thing off. That's the name of the game, fellas. You just can't take off and run because he'll squeeze you to the sideline, and you can't just attack his leverage and break because that'll screw up the timing. It's got to be a combination of both. So great job by this wide receiver attacking, pushing back up vertical, just have to finish on this catch. All right, so next example I want to talk about here. This is going to be a little bit of a change of pace. This is not so much a football IQ question. This is more of like a mechanical question about your cuts and about how you guys get in and out of your breaks. So this is a clip here where this wide receiver injures himself, tears his ACL on this play. And it sucks to have to show this clip, but I want to make sure you guys understand this and understand why this is incorrect. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think causes the injury on this cut so you guys can avoid it? So I'm going to play this full speed. So what do you think causes him to hurt his knee? It's his left knee, the one that he grabs here. So again, I'm going to play this thing again in slow motion. He breaks down. What do you think causes the knee injury right there? What causes that? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So number one thing that causes that injury, and it's going to be two things, right? So number one is that his body is trying to leave the cut before his foot gets down. So many wide receivers have this problem. You know, whether it's because the quarterback is throwing the ball very quick, whether it's a timing route like a 10-yard out route or a comeback route, wide receivers will break down and they will not let their feet drive them out. They will try to turn with their upper body before the feet get out of there. So maybe they could turn their head and see the ball. Maybe they could just, honestly, try to get out of the break as fast as possible, whatever it is. But it is bad form when your feet are still working outside of your frame. So you see how Mechie here, when he breaks down, he snaps this thing off, but his body is turning. And when your body leaves, this foot gets outside the frame. And when the foot gets outside the frame, that knee caves in. You could land on your heel, and then that is what can cause that knee injury. So if you guys said your body leaving before the foot got down, that would be correct. Another thing that would have been acceptable is striking the ground on his heel first. When you guys go heel toe, that puts yourself at such a big risk of injury, and that's what can cause a lot of long-term, like buildup of, small micro injuries that could lead to a really big one. Okay, fellas? So again, make sure that my body is not turning before the foot gets down to prevent further injury. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver gym and field workout schedule, everything you should be doing in the field, on the field and in the gym, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.